Hey. I said, excuse me, but you don't understand where I'm at. I was all around the world, on span, cross the map. I've been laying low and now it's time to pop up, bitch, I'm back. Now I'ma run it up. Snooze on the kid that you dumb or what? You better go get your numbers up.
That's right, folks. The MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast, 5/2/2025. Here to do Andor, Season 2, Episode 2 recap. Guest creators joining us later on during the show. It is 5/2/2025 with Tall Being. Thank you, Isaiah, for joining us from the Room Upstairs podcast again. Our second appearance from the Room Upstairs. It's good to see you, brother.
Hey, good to be here.
Can't wait to hear what you think, what your thoughts are on Andor. Cyberneticshark, my co-host, veteran content creator, good friend of mine, good dude, is here with us. Happy to be covering something that's not The Last of Us. Andre, the pop culture guy, is here with us for yet another episode of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. We are a podcast, and I'm sure Andres probably has lots of supporters among the MCU'S Bleeding Edge faithful. He's done a lot of shows with us. So guys, Andor. Now we have Gunnar coming on, and we'll talk to him when he comes on about it. But as we have new faces and new voices, coming on during these episode reviews, during these recaps, I like to go back and delve into Andor season 1, since we only have 2 seasons to work with for the show. We know that it's kind of a finite resource, Since you're guesting with us for the first time, Tall Being, what's your recollection of I know you're a young guy, but what's your recollection of season 1 in terms of what it meant to you, I guess, how you felt about it, at the time, what your thoughts are now looking back at it.
All right, so season 1, like you said, I was definitely younger when it came out, still young. But as of right now, season 1 is my current favorite season of television, just ever. I have rewatched it 3 or 4 times all the way through, and started rewatching it multiple times before and never been able to finish. But I really like it. I think it's incredible. I am a big fan of like musical scores in movies, so I really, really like it in the show, and in the new season is great.
The
I remember
so far is great, and in season 2, it's great.
Oh yeah. I remember thinking when the trailers for Andor were coming out, like, this doesn't look very good. I don't know why they're making this show. It was one of the weird, like, no one asked for this. That was a common complaint that we still get for things sometimes. And then, blows every other Star Wars show I think that we've had out of the water, just in terms
I've never heard that before. Honestly, that's funny that you said that. That you must be talking about within the Star Wars fandom or something like that, because I've never heard like nobody ever asked for this as a critique. You know what I'm saying? That's very unique. I've never heard that before, but it's interesting that you heard that. That's crazy. I can't believe that. I didn't know that there was even a thought of like people thinking that way about the show. But they did invest a lot of money into it and everything, and it wasn't really all that well acclaimed on Disney Plus. I mean, it's one of the least watched shows ever, from the MCU Star Wars.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish what you were saying.
Oh no, I don't really have a bunch else. It's just watching it for the first time was a really fun experience. Something that just hooked me immediately. Of like, okay, they're doing something very different from anything I've seen from Star Wars before, and that was really interesting. And I'm really happy with the direction that the season's been taking so far with season 2.
Can you imagine if The Acolyte had somehow gotten an Emmy nomination or something like that out of that shit show, and gave it credibility of some kind? You know what I mean? And based off that or whatever, you know what I'm saying? They somehow managed to get another season out of it or something like that. You know what I mean? Can you imagine that shit? Holy fuck!
I never watched The Acolyte. I saw reviews when it first came out. I was like, I'm not touching it.
You should not watch it.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah. I would not watch it if I were you. It's not
There
worth
was
it.
only one thing about that show that was okay, and that was the lead Asian guy that was
Squid
from
Game.
Squid Games.
Yeah. Squid Game. That was the only fucking show they had going with that shit. It was rough. Talk about fucking a shit show. All right, so Cyber, what do you got, sir? What's your I know you don't remember as far that well. I don't remember either. But what was your experience roughly during covering and everything, Andor the first season, what's your take on it? What'd you think of the trailers and everything and whatnot? Were you surprised by how good the show ended up being, or what do you think it was that good? Is it as good as people say it is? Because it's very highly acclaimed.
So, Andor season 1, it was up and down for me. Like, there was some really good episodes, then there was some really slow episodes, and it was kind of back and forth, and it ended off really good. I think the show is very decent. It was, a good show overall, and I enjoyed it. Do I think it is as good as everyone makes it out to be? I wouldn't say I would agree with everyone that it was the best Star Wars show ever, but I would say that it was the best they put out in that time period. Because I still am a huge fan of like the prequel films, love those films, and I think that out of the shows they put out over the last couple of years, definitely Andor is the best of those series they put out. Ahsoka was okay. The Mandalorian has been decent, but I think out of all of them, the best run, the best written, and like just the best kind of storyline has been Andor. And so I think that, all the trailers were really good. But I feel that it definitely downplayed how much filler there would be, especially over 13 episodes. So there definitely is a lot of filler in this series because they're trying to spread it out as far as they could into 2 seasons. But overall, I think that it still is a very decent series that I did enjoy. And it definitely, there's episodes I really enjoyed more than others that really made me very hyped for the show. And, going back and thinking about how the first season went off, just like everyone's kind of mentioned before, I feel, the prison sequence was really good. The, kind of the Tesla run type, the Tesla run type of deal going on there in the episode was really fun, where they're stealing the stuff from the warehouse and stuff like that. So there was really good parts, but I felt there was just too much filler in between those sequences. So this season so far, into Andor season 2, we definitely have a really solid start and then kind of a filler episode. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season unfolds as we go along.
Most definitely. I think that with Andor, I think that when you talk about filler episodes or filler, like that's one of the things about the show is that even the filler stuff is quality. It's like very entertaining and watchable. Very dramatic. You know what I mean? And very like HBO level. When it comes to like all the major keystone aspects of like good television that you want to have working for you. Good score, good writing. Good acting. Ensemble cast, great storylines, within the seasons, that are interesting, great character arcs, great characters. But Andres, you just watched Andor season 1 recently. I haven't been able to talk to you that much about what you thought of the whole season. But what did you make of Andor season 1? What were your highlights of it? I guess
yeah,
it's definitely a slow burn. Season 1 is, you know what I'm saying? It works its way in, but it's definitely it's interesting how Gilroy wrote the into the arcs that it has. You know what I'm saying? It's I really enjoy that aspect of season 1.
yeah. Well, so after we did Rogue One, I started. I started right away to bench watch Endor season 1. The last 2 years I've been with you guys. You've been, especially you, Jeff. You brought up Andor, how good the show really was, while I was getting into these other Star Wars shows that we were reviewing, like you know Ahsoka, and then of course, unfortunately, I wasn't in half of the Acolyte reviews, but it was pretty painful last year. Uh, so yeah, I finished it this week. Season one. I gotta say, it's really good. I mean, if you're a big fan of Rogue One, the Star Wars story, that's like my top tier Star Wars movie after Empire. I was very happy that we got like an extension of this, like of before Rogue One. I really like it, and I like how you know um was it Tony Gilroy, taking the story and like giving us new insight of this Cassian Endor that's going to be important to Rogue One. Because I mean, I can see where you're coming from, the Room Upstairs podcast. Like, like I mean, that character wasn't my favorite. Like, there were like other characters that I like more than Endor. I mean, he was a good. I mean, I like the actor. The character was fine, but I think this show did such a good job of like expanding his character. I now like him more, and I can stand where he's coming from. Now, what now? If I rewatch again Rogue One, now I have this show in mind, and it's like, okay, I get what he's trying to fight for. It's like
Yeah.
he's just a soldier. So yeah, and I kind of agree with you about saying about season two. I'm so far liking where we're starting at. Like, it still feels like the show. Nothing like it doesn't seem like it having this like was it season three problem with the Medlone show when that came back for season three, and you felt like it was not the show it was for the first season. Here it's like I feel like it's the same show. I binge watch. I love the characters. I'm very excited to talk about it with next couple weeks. And yeah, and I agree with you, Jeff. It's a slow burn, but not a bad one. The good it's like they do a good job of wrapping up the storyline so good. Like the prison one and the heist one from season one. So we're gonna get that in these episodes like before. So they'll be good.
Oh yeah, the heist arc is great. Really
Yeah, my
great.
favorite. That's my favorite for season one, and I like the prison arc too. That is really good too. But yeah,
Great, yeah, some great acting performances overall. Within season one, you had that guy from Fantastic Four was in the heist arc,
Yeah.
but and then you had Andy Serkis come in, for the prison arc, right? And I think he should have got nominated for an Emmy award for his performance personally, but they gave what's his name that plays Cassian Andor, they gave him a nomination for best actor or whatever, Diego Luna. So, all right. So let's talk about That Would Be Me, the episode directed by Toby Haynes and written by Tony Gilroy. So based off of the Wikipedia, breakdown of the episode, it says Tibbs, still suspicious of Bix's relationship with Cassian, reports Cassian to Pre-War security. Oh, wait, that's season one. I'm tripping. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Flashback. Talk about nostalgia.
Whoa.
Holy shit. So on the Jungle Planet, I don't even understand this whole like storyline, to be honest with you. I don't even really understand what the fuck was supposed to happen with this. But I don't know. On the Jungle Planet, Cassian is held prisoner while the conflict amongst the Maya Pei Brigade worsens, and the group splits into two factions and a stalemate. I don't know what to make of all that. Amina Ra, Imperial officers arrive to audit all the workers' papers as Bix, Brasso, and Will arrange to move to a different part of the planet to avoid discovery. Now, weaved into that is scenes with Mon Mothma, and her husband, what I'm saying? Which is always an interesting aspect of Andor, I think. Their relationship is interesting. But there are scenes with them, and him telling Mon Mothma that that one dude that's she's close to or whatever that works with him on with the rebel shit with the money, got in trouble or something like that, or he drank too much, at a party or something that, the other night. So there's like, some bullshit with that. And, we have this storyline now where we have, Bix and, all the people from, season one from, that one planet there that they were on. They're over here on Mina Ra, or whatever you want to call it, over on that one planet now. I believe it's the same planet that the Empire wants to like subrogate or whatever, but I'm not sure. What did you guys make of that first section? We also see Deidre with the head of her department, with the Empire, and her like saying she doesn't want to be on the project, right? With the planet. What do you guys think of make of that first sequence? And Andres, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. So I thought episode 1 was okay, and then entering to episode 2, I thought it was great to get picked up where we were left off from episode 1, with this whole jungle planet that we don't know where Cassian is at, being held by these like group of teenagers, I guess. These like kind of like
they're not teenagers.
Nah, I mean, I don't know. They're
grown.
I mean, yeah, they're grown, but they act like one, like especially towards the end, which we'll get into. But it's so funny. It's like these like rebel, I don't know, like this splinter group, war soldiers, whatever you want to call them. They're having this conflict of what they're going to do with this, ship and all that. And it's like, oh, okay. And it just shows like right now what's going on in the galaxy. Everything is so desperate, like this is not far from what Cassian was from, like remember he was not, like welled in before. He was in this like tribe basically, and so like this is nothing new for him, and that's something we see a couple times with Star Wars. They always end up with these like this group of people, or one person that's like scrounging around these planets for parts, or like something that's going on that's not part of the galactic war that's going on with the Empire and the rebellion, right? And this time like it's not yet there, but it's building up to that. But yeah, this storyline I'm like I'm okay. It's just like those people are so annoying. It's like why you just listen to Cassian? He's like professional, and yeah, I get he's wearing the test pilot costume. It's like, I mean, you look at him, he's like even look like a test pilot. Like he could be a rebel, and like it's just so annoying that they didn't listen to him, and like they could have easily get out of that planet so easily, but whatever. They're just punks, and they don't know survival 101. The Mon Mothma stuff I really like, because that's the side of Star Wars that we don't get, is the whole political, how did the rebellion started and how they build up their resources to like get all weaponry and all that. That was like really interesting for the first season. It was cool to see that again right away. Obviously like off of first season you saw how Mothra was in the situation of trying to transfer all that money to like a very secure one, so that the Empire didn't get some suspicious on her, and so she had to make this worse decision to like what do you call it, like send her daughter to bride this child that like that's that she didn't want to do, but she had to do it necessary to like build up the rebellion. And keep her funds, be
her daughter's an asshole. Her daughter's an asshole anyway.
Yeah, yeah. She was. What was her situation? It's so weird. Like she's like a daughter, like a daddy's girl, and like
she's a monster.
A monster. But I don't know. She was just weird, and I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Jeff. I guess I'm happy she is, winning. It was funny when she started to cry because like the boy, because the boy he's a boy. He's a child. You're a child too. It's like what we would expect. He's not into this like love and like Romeo and Juliet to be a nut.
It's crazy that they have this like like arranged marriage type vibe going on with like this religious sect
thing,
or whatever, like within Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So that part I really like in this beginning part, seeing the wedding kind of full on. Plus seeing the what was that the dealer that's one of the Skarsgårds is playing. Like he was my favorite character from season 1. It was great to see him playing like the dual role here. See his assistant, trying to like
Cyril?
Cyril,
Cyril.
yeah, Cyril. It was great to see him and like seeing the situation what's going on. So
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, there is that scene with Cyril at his job or whatever, like bringing in that new trainee or whatever,
Yeah. So yeah, like all that is I thought that part was like the most exciting part. And then of course getting back to the other people from Cassian's home planet, Flix, right? Flix. Of course Blix.
What was that planet called? Fedris? No.
Yeah, it sounded like that. Frexit. Obviously the Bix. Bix. Seeing Bix and the friend from the planet and that boy.
They're doing some rebel shit over there, wherever they're doing. They haven't really made it clear what they're doing yet.
Yeah, so it was great to see them again because I did like them in the first season as well, and I was like very intrigued.
Yeah, Tim's there, and the robot,
the robot,
whatever his name is.
Yeah, I forgot the robot's name, but yeah, he's great too. I love the robot. He's the best companion ever since
he's great. They didn't give him any lines in episode 2, but he's good.
Yeah, he's really good. And it was really interesting to see Big's trauma from last season because she was being kind of toxicated to like tell the truth, and so it was really interesting to see that she still kind of hasn't yet gotten over the trauma she was inflicted on from the Empire from first season. So I think the beginning was really great. I was happy to see all the characters again. I see more of the story fleshed out in this beginning than first episode. Because the first episode was kind of slow. I was like, okay, what we're getting at. I understood what the storyline of Mothra. I was more intrigued in that. Here, I was like, all right, I understand what we're doing with Cassian's storyline. And I get what we're doing with Big's storyline. So yeah, overall, I like this opening.
Yeah, Bix is definitely off. You can tell that she's heading in a direction where she's going to be like unstable, like down the road. You know what I mean? Like it's very apparent, that all that interrogation shit she went through in season 1 fucked her up. All right, Tall Being, same question going to your direction, sir. What are your thoughts on that first episode, that first section of episode 2? What do you think of seeing Cyril again? And, what do you make of Bix, disposition? What do you think, sir?
All right. So I really like the opening of this episode. I think the Rebel storyline is really interesting because, this is the first season is very much the foundation of the rebellion, and it seems like the second season is them building on top of that and trying to bring in all of these other factions and they're turning the rebellion into what we're inevitably going to see it in the original trilogy. And I think this is a really interesting way to show how fractured it is right now and broken and disorganized, and like they can't even get along with each other, so they definitely can't get along with the other rebel cells. So I like Cassian's storyline there, even if it is really frustrating sometimes to be able to be like, oh, just listen to him. He's obviously way more experienced than the rest of you. But I think it is going to pay off in the end, by the end of the season. I really enjoy Dedra's first scene in this episode with her boss, because something that one, just the dialogue in the show in general is so good. That's one of the
actor that actor that plays her boss is good.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. His little reactions to every little thing are really good. And I really enjoy his line when he's talking to her, and she's trying to get back onto the Andor project, trying to hunt him down instead of the Gorman with the planet. And I wrote down the line specifically. He says, next time, make sure to catch them first and then make your rebels famous. And, I think it's really interesting what they're doing with her. And this is something from the first season too. Something that goes into Cyril also, who's also my favorite character. it's turning the villains into characters also and giving them character arcs and having them change over the show instead of only giving that to the heroes. So like original trilogy, you don't really get a Vader character arc until Return of the Jedi. But here they're being very careful to make sure that everyone changes over the course, which I think makes her scenes as interesting, if not more, as say the Cassian scenes. But Bix is also my favorite of the season so far. There hasn't been quite enough Cyril for me personally for how much I love him. And I really do like where Bix's story is going. Like you said, it's very clear that she's heading towards some crazy stuff going forward.
Yeah, their situation on that planet they're on seems very tenuous. You know what I'm saying? They've got all this imperial pressure going on. You know, there's some kind of audit there. You know, going on, right? That's the whole deal with their storyline of the episode, right? Is that they have the pressure of almost like a Nazi like sort of esque energy going on, with the Empire that you could get from the Empire, very easily. You know what I mean? Like, it's there, that imperialistic, energy or like nature, of like the way that they operate is very menacing, the very AKA Rogue One, the opening scene, Cyber, what do you make of the opening of episode 2, sir?
The opening of this episode is okay. Definitely, the first 5 I got was very filler episode off of the beginning. And once again, it's going back and forth between the kind of 3 storylines that they're kind of showing us, between the Empire itself to the rebels in the woods to Mon
Mothma, her whole situation, with Luthen, Rial, and all that, at his sex shop.
With Mon Mothma, and it keeps going back and forth between those 3 story arcs, and I think it's kind of funny how I feel like in this episode they kind of dedicate a little more time to the Empire side, as Tall Being was mentioning. He was saying that they're giving story arcs to these villains. I definitely felt that at the beginning here, where they really kind of gave more of a dark side or bad guy side kind of story arcs going on here. And of course I felt very little of Mon Mothma this episode. I feel we got like a little bit of the rebels and them out in the boonies, which comes later on, but even less I felt we got of the other rebels that were waiting for Cassian on that one planet. We really didn't get much of them either this episode, I felt, it compared to the first episode. So I think that they're trying to kind of fill in some gaps here, which really, I felt this beginning portion really was trying to start that off. And so, automatic, after halfway into this portion of the episode, I was like, oh, this feels like filler. So I felt it wasn't as strong as the first episode, but definitely not a horrible beginning to this episode.
Okay. All right. So going back to episode 2, I mentioned already, that Bix, Brasso, and Will arranged to move to a different part of the planet to avoid discovery, and then on Coruscant, Deidre and Cyril, who are now living together as a couple, prepare for a social event they have been putting off, which was a very interesting scene, the Deidre Cyril scene. As preparations for Leda's wedding conclude, Mon Mothma discusses the possibility of Tay Koma's defection with Luthen, who says they should attempt to ascertain Koma's price for keeping silent about the rebellion. A lot happens throughout that parcel of the episode, right? You've got, the scene with Deidre and Cyril is really great. Very interesting dynamic, like how relationships work in this Star Wars dimension, in the Star Wars future. It's very interesting seeing how romantic relationships work in Andor, because they're not very good. Look, Mon Mothma's marriage is a joke. It's totally, like arranged, and she's unhappy. You know what I'm saying? The husband's unhappy. The daughter is married to some dude she don't like, right? It's interesting seeing the relationships. And then you've got Deidre and Cyril. They just have this weird like energy, for to be in a relationship. Like it's very like standoffish almost, very ritualistic, like time constrained, sort of Deidre's like rush kind of. It's interesting. You have the Mom Mothma storyline where she seems like really like sprung, by like what that dude is saying to her about him being unhappy about the investments with the rebels not going well and all that shit. It's very intriguing, right? You get the sense that Luthen is going to whack that guy, potentially, right? All right. There's also the Imperial inspection of that like farm area, right, with Bix and Tim and all that, where the Imperial officer like asks her on a date almost, kind of, and she like says she has a husband and all that shit. Very intriguing, right? So I'll go back to you, Tall Being. What are your thoughts on that big chunk of episode 2?
I think so yeah, this is another really interesting part. Going into all the relationships. This is the first time we see Cyril this season. He skipped episode 1. And so going into him now and seeing from where he ends season 1, he like rescues Dedra during the riot in the street. And you get like some interactions between them during the first season, and then going here where it seems like I really enjoy them being an evil power couple. I think that's a really funny way to take them, but also just it's a way that makes sense for both of them from where we leave them off. And to have a 1-year time skip to here, it makes sense for them to both have developed like this relationship where they're together and almost more like work associates than actual partners, if that makes sense. They're living together, they're shopping together, but they're not. They don't really care about each other.
They have a very distant energy or vibe going on to their relationship. It's very like, Star Wars-ish.
Yeah.
Like kind of what you'd expect from a futuristic kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then getting into that with Mon Mothma too is really interesting. Like that and whole sequence. It seems to be a running theme of a lot of failed relationships this season. I think these 3 episodes specifically, a lot of discord and dissension between these people that might have once been together or been friends with each other, or allies, because you get this with the rebels too. And now they're all fracturing because of all the pressures around them. And I think that's a cool theme to start the season out with, and a cool way to transition from the end of the first season into now.
Yes, it makes sense that you're talking beyond episode 2 and getting into the whole arc of like episodes 1 through 3, which I understand you're doing that, because of Andor season 1, right? It makes sense. You know what I mean? It's a very easy, place to go to. The way that the writing worked in season 1. I think Tony Gilroy is a genius. He writes some very captivating television. I'll say that. But Cyber, what's your take, sir? Oh, I thought you were actually like going black on me as a response. I was
no. I actually pushed that instead of the unmute button. Anywho, so this section, just like the first section, I felt, once again, it just felt so much like filler for me. I didn't feel like there was much substance to it for me. And I thought that it wasn't horrible or bad. I just thought that it was pretty basic information, kind of giving us more information to get us in the right direction of following the storylines. And, I think that we have a lot of, interesting characters that I feel have a lot of great potential. Especially Deidre's character. I think that there's a lot of potential with her. I think there's a lot of more potential with Mon Mothma, and I think there's a lot of potential for all those characters and so forth. And I really appreciated that, they really took the time here to really set up the storyline going forward, because I feel, even though it was very much filler, it still got a lot of great points across that we weren't aware of. So I did like that about it, and I thought they did a really good job. And so I think that, the back and forth between the three stories, I just, once again, I gotta emphasize, I feel it's just too much storyline going on at once. I think they should have focused on a couple of the storylines, and then the next episode focus on the other storylines they didn't talk about, and maybe briefly go back to the others. So I think that they could have just done a little more editing when it came to certain sections. But other than that, overall in this section here, I think they did a decent job that, it helped progress the story. And, I think that there's a lot of great potential. I think that my favorite portions so far over the course of this episode is definitely the Empire stuff, because the Empire is always really fascinated me. I've always enjoyed the bad guy characters, and something that, just like we kind of mentioned earlier, they always really focus on the good guys beating the bad guys. You don't see much on the bad guys. And so them focusing on that, giving us these different characters, kind of reintroducing them, giving us more story with these other characters. And as you had mentioned, Jeff, about the officer from the first season that we got back here, I forget her name. She definitely, I think, got mentally screwed last season too. So I'm looking forward to seeing just where that progresses her and her fight for whatever position she's looking for inside the Empire. So I think that that's been a really interesting little tidbit there, them really focusing on her in this season. I think that's been fantastic. Overall, an okay section.
Okay, Andres.
Yeah, I couldn't in the same page with Cyber here. I thought this midsection was okay because when we were cutting back and forth, particularly with the Cassian storyline, with the with those those group, it was like, oh my god. When I was hoping, like, you think like Cassian was gonna kill all of them like one by one, like Clint Eastwood style, like pew, 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 and instead of that, we're like he just stands there, just watching them do like this like childish things, like oh I pew, pew, like Lego, the Lego, the Lego verse, the Lego movies when they use their lasers, they do pew pew pew. Uh, and and then this like I just wanted that instead of these like amateur like I guess tag soldiers, whatever you want to call them, bickering about like, oh, my brother is coming back, he was trying to get some help, and it's like, well, Survival 101 is like, if you're gonna be separated, you don't know that a monster or some imperial whatever probably killed him, like you should just like move forward. I just thought that storyline was so weak. I was like, oh come on, just please move forward. I was like, come on, Cassian, do something like Rogue One when he tells the guy, look, don't worry, like he just like relaxes him, like, no worries, sir, and bam, kills him. Rogue One. I was like, yeah, that's a bad mother pardon my French, folks, motherfucker. But anyway, so and speaking with Telbin was bringing up the failure of relationships, and it was interesting to see this relationship pop up nowhere. I was like, whoa, they're gonna do that. Is the just I'm new to this character's what is it Nitro, and someone help me with that other guy's character's name. The the other person that was like hunting Cassian during the first season, like
Cyril?
yes, Cyril. That's his name.
Cyril,
Okay,
yes.
okay,
Zero.
thank you.
Yeah, Zero.
Okay. Thank you. Putting them together was like kind of hinted at in the first season, but like she didn't like him. He was like, okay, like you're pushing your buttons here, like I get you want to capture Cassian, you want to, restate in the, the Empire, whatever, and like, I saw the finale yesterday, and it was really interesting that she saved her from the crowd and Cassian's home planet that he was at, and the fact that they showed us that they got together as a couple was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Kind of curious if their relationship will fall apart as well, because like she will probably do like what he did in first season, because she is now obsessed of trying to get Cassian or what happened in that whole planet, try to get that, because like it did affect her reputation maybe. So I'm very curious about that relation. Obviously, when they were talking about they cannot like pulled off this like was it event they're trying to do, obviously it's probably the mother wants to see her, because they're in a relationship. So because the mother was funny last season, so she's like, look, I did everything for you, all right, I got you your job, I begged your uncle or whatever to like get you to this position, like no thanks, and it's like he just like drinks his like blue milk and like and his like Star Wars cereal. By the way, I want that now. I'm like, oh god, I really want that in real life. So I'm very curious when we're gonna get to see the mom and see that interaction. So that part I was like, okay, I'm really intrigued about that, and I get why she doesn't want that job, because he really wants to get Cassian and like accomplish that mission, and so I get that, the job that she got from General Kraken. That am I saying that right? From Rogue One, played by Ben Mendelsohn. By the way, I'm so happy to see Ben Mendelsohn again in this universe. He was great in Rogue One, so he was great in Episode 1, and I'm very intrigued about the trying to get this this resource from this planet that they're talking about, the Garmin or something like that.
The Gormans, yeah.
The Gormans, yeah, and I think I get what they're trying to do here, because they're leaving out with the Death Star. This will probably lead the crystals that they take from the Giant Temple and use that as the Death Star's energy, right? So I like how we're building that aspect.
The Kyber crystals, yeah. I don't know what they're doing, but I know what you're talking about.
I don't know, but because they need some source for something for the Death Star, for some laser thing maybe, but we'll see. I'm curious what they're gonna do with like that whole thing. But yeah, I thought this section was good. Seeing Bix and everyone being worried about, because they're on documented from this planet, so like that was really intriguing, and seeing those Imperial check, like the fact that Imperial was like hitting on Bix was like, okay. I like how he didn't like wink or like got scared about the fact that he mentioned the husband. He's like, oh, okay, it's like, all right, like this guy is a douche. So he's gonna die probably next episode. So but yeah, so overall it's this okay section. I wanted more pew 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 than talking and just like allowing these kids to do things. But yeah, and the Bomb Mafia stuff is good. I'm very sad for her friend, because her friend was a good character for last season. I didn't like that, like he was in trouble with financial stuff. I was like, oh no, please don't kill him. But when we get into it, it's like he's going down that path of like he's gonna get killed by either the dealer or maybe Mafia's man or something like that. But yeah, overall okay section.
Okay, I'm gonna play the trailer.
We're in a war. You want to fight? Or you want to win? The revolution starts now.
What a swell party this is.
Remember this moment. You're here, you're right here, and you're ready to fight.
Okay. The ending of episode 2, season 2, coming off of what I mentioned already about Ty's defection with Luthen, in his crosshairs there at that, religious ceremony that they had having to do with the daughter's wedding to that, kid coming off of season 1, right? And I really felt like Mon Mothma's husband's speech was supposed to be mirrored off of Luthen's speech, from season 1, right? Like when he's talking about, joy and everything, and all this shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really felt like that's that they were trying to bounce off of that kind of in a way. Or maybe it's just prophetic, writing. I don't know. But I thought that was really interesting. That whole ceremony was interesting, very dramatic. So Cassian slips away from his captors when they become distracted with a territorial challenge, the Stupas or whatever bullshit they did, and flees the planet, revealed to be Yavin 5 or 6 in the stolen TIE Avenger. There's a final scene with the Bix storyline, where they're talking about the Imperial audit, right, or whatever they're doing, and kind of like talking to that one guy that kind of has weigh in with the Empire, right, for information, and he's warning them like that they didn't be prepared for for action, if they get caught, they're not supposed to be where they're at, or they're not citizens there or something like that. I'm not sure. So we're left with Cassian with some really great visuals, him on that TIE fighter, I thought it was really well shot. Coming out of that really sort of like weird storyline in the jungle where he got away from those people. You guys can tell me what you think about that. But the whole Mon Mothma wedding ceremony speech was dope, pretty deep. And the what's going to happen with the storyline with this guy being upset, or unhappy, and his knowledge of the rebellion with Luthen, I'm sure it's going to make for interesting, entertainment. And then you have, essentially the situation with Bix and those, Tim and them, kind of being hunted almost, or, in trouble with the Empire, and there's a lot of tension there. So Cyber, what do you think, sir? What are your thoughts on the ending of episode 2?
Okay. All right. So the conclusion of the episode was my favorite part of the episode, especially when Cassian finally gets away from those retarded rebels. I mean, like the whole first episode and then still going on this episode is like, Jesus Christ, like Cassian, what the hell's going on, bro? Get away from these people. They're nothing but a menace. I mean, the whole fighting and bickering between them was just like hilarious. And then after all that, like shooting and like trying to kill each other and then they're rock, paper, scissoring, I was like, what crack are they smoking when they thought this up? I'm like, all the good writing you do, Tony Gilroy, and this is what you come up with, sir? Some rock, paper, scissors, sir? I'm like, okay. And I just thought it was hilarious because I'm like, are they really doing rock, paper, scissors right now? Is that what I'm watching here? I was kind of like going, huh? But anyways, but when he finally gets away and starts shooting people up and getting rid of them and stuff like that and gets in the TIE fighter and starts lifting it up and stuff like that, I was like, awesome. This is awesome. And, I felt like the other portions of, the conclusion, kind of the other kind of storylines that were going on with the marriage, with Mon Mothma and the Imperial stuff and stuff like that. I thought that it was okay. I thought that they had some decent kind of like extensions to these stories, to the end of this episode. But I didn't think it was anything that really was like, this is so fantastic. But I definitely liked that Cassian finally got away. And I thought that was really great and fun. And I thought that they did an overall great job with that. I thought the spaceship was amazing, the TIE fighter and everything, how it glides and how it moves and stuff like that was like really flawless. I thought CGI or model usage, whatever they used for the TIE fighter, and I just thought it was a really good conclusion to this episode, and it kind of got me back in the spirits. Because like I said, I felt this was definitely a very filler episode, leading throughout the whole entire 40 plus minutes. So I think that it ended on a good note, and I'm looking forward to seeing what episode 3 brings.
Okay, Andres.
Yes. All right. Yeah. The final section is the best thing ever. I mean, first off, I was like, first. The Mon Mothra sequence was really interesting. I mean, the speech that the husband does is really, very nice, and like I think he was like, telling kind of this honest like point of view about marriage to his daughter. Like yeah, you're gonna have your ups and downs in this marriage, but always find joy in what you have with your partner and all that. So I kind of get what he was trying to do in that speech, and it's a really good speech, and at the same time you really get good direction um for this episode. Like seeing uh Skarsgård's character looking the to the Lufton, right? No, Lufton looking at Mothra's friend who had unfortunately had done bad investment, and so something's gonna happen to him, and unfortunately he'll probably die, and all that, and I'm gonna be sad. And then yeah, then you see the pics and the whole people trying to get cover themselves, and hopefully the no imperial like forces will find them and stuff like that. And then we get into the Caspian theme. I was like, I said before, like like more people. I instead we got rock paper and whatever they say, issues maybe, PPUs. I don't know what kind of rock paper scissors shoe was that. I can't believe it. We had that in Star Wars. I mean, it's not the most embarrassing thing we've seen. Like we have seen all folks. We seen episode 3 do it. Or the acolyte with the crazy witches. Like, oh, these twins were born with 2 mothers. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, that's nothing new. Stuff like that. And I'm just shocked that we got rock paper scissors in the Star Wars show. I was like, oh, okay. And out of you think Cassian after he tricked the guy, and I thought he was gonna shoot him. I was like, oh my god, it's gonna kill him. Pew pew pew. And like, no, he just kept alive. And then all of a sudden, this random creature comes out and kills the 2 supposed leaders. That was great. I was happy about that. I was like, good riddance. You're not good leaders. You were annoying. You were, like you didn't know what to do with your group. You were like lousy leaders. So I'm happy you guys were eaten by these creatures. And yeah, Casson went away. I was happy being alive. I was not sorry for the group. I hope they will, perish in solace. That they were not being run by losers of losers. No offense. But one thing I didn't like, or I'm two minuses. I like how we're building up to the New Hope. Something I did bring up, but first season, it was cool how the end of the season 1, we got the reveal of the Death Star and what Cassian and his inmates were in the prison, and they were building parts for the Death Star. That was a really cool setup and payoff. And this episode, I was like shocked that we showed the planet that we're gonna be with the rebels in Rogue One and of course Star Wars Episode 4, The New Hope. And I was like, really? Out of all the planets, you wanted to use this episode to introduce this planet? Like, I don't know. I think that look. I know it's not a big deal, but this location is iconic. I think you should have done something that was more dramatic and actually a better episode to introduce this planet than this stupid episode that's unfortunately a filler episode, as Cyber said before. So I'm very mixed on the end of this episode, showing that this is the planet that Mothra and a lot of the rebel are gonna be there for Rogue One and up to New Hope. So overall, a very decent finale. I thought it was good. It got us to where we're gonna probably see in the next couple episodes, hopefully. But they could have done something better for this finale instead of rock, paper, and dark side or light side. No, rock, paper, scissors, please. I don't need that in my Star Wars. That's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you, Andres. All right, Tall Being, wrap us up, sir.
All right. I like the end. I really liked. I didn't make the connection between the father's speech and Luthen's before, but I do really like that of this. Luthen talking about sacrifice and the father, talking about take what you have while you have it. And that's really good. And I think that I really like that speech. And I wrote down as a note, like the first season, one of the things that became really known for were the monologues, right? They've released the monologues as clips all on their own. They're so good. And having another one, episode 2 of this season, just immediately made me happy. Really glad to see that they're coming back. And I like this one because it does feel a lot different from the other 3. It is a lot more positive. It's a lot more, it feels like it's building the foundation of hope that a lot of Star Wars, like that's a main theme, like there's darkness, but we're going to find the light within it. And this speech really gets to the core of that in some really cool ways. And that feels like something that the first season, I don't know, was missing, but it didn't have for sure. It did feel it felt very grim all the time. It felt very, until the end.
Very gritty, very
Yeah.
dark in a way. Andor season 1 is.
Yeah, and despite how dark this episode still was at times, they found the time to be able to add in, a little bit of brevity, even if it's surrounded by, this really not great marriage, finding something good in there, which I really like. So I like that speech a lot. Cassian escaping, great, really happy that he finally did. I thought he was going to be there for all 3 episodes, so having him escape at the end of the second episode, I was happy. I'm excited to see where he goes from there. I think Space Rock Paper Scissors is very funny, and just really adds to like the immaturity of these rebels. Of like they're acting like kids, like they can't get along. Instead of killing each other, they are just playing a game to figure out who's going to be their leader. And that is, I think, the funniest possible way to end their story. Just have those 2 leaders get offed and then Cassian escapes and they're left alone. like what else are you going to do with, you can't justify anything that they've done up to this point. So get rid of them at that point. And and Bix, finishing her story off there with the creep Imperial, and then Cassian's coming back, so we got to see how everything moves from there. I really like it. I like the ending a lot. It sets up the rest of the season really well. I like it.
Okay, give us a rating, please, if you would. 1 through 10 on episode 2.
Episode 2, I'm gonna give I'll give it a 7, maybe 7.5. I think it could have been a little tighter, maybe, but I really like a lot of the things it does. It does feel like it's trying to bridge between episode 1, which is a lot of taking us from the end of season 1, seeing how things have changed over a year, and they're trying to get to the end of the arc in season 3. And this does feel like a bridge, so it is missing a lot of the conclusiveness, I guess, but having each episode take place over the course of a day, I think works and helps that a lot. So 7.5, I think, out of 10.
Andres.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Telbin. I'll give it 7.5 out of 10. I mean, I if I was writing this episode, instead of going for rock paper scissors shoot, I just say give us the was it Monopoly version of Star Wars board game. I think that could have been fun. And it's like seeing them doing like really a dice and then like I was just like monster, save the card on the board. It'd be amazing episode. But no, we stay got rock paper scissors shoot. So 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was better than episode 1 because episode 1 was just kind of like as Tailplane was saying before, it was kind of catching us up that 1 year, like the 1 year jump from season 1 to the now for season 2. As we know, time jumps is going to be expected in season 2, and I just thought this was a better pace. We got more payoffs. thankfully we got rid of some of the weaker storylines, and I'm very excited to move forward with the more repping up the storylines to more exciting, more action packed. Hopefully,
it's a slow burn again this season.
Yeah, and that's
what
the thing. They're doing their slow burn, which is fine. I'm not complaining. At least we're getting good dialogues, as Telpin said before. Because that was the best part first season. I thought this episode had actually really good dialogue, which is good. The wedding is the best one, I had to say.
Yeah, good. Most definitely. It's a solid episode. What do you think, Cyber?
I give it a solid 7. I think it was, overall a decent episode, a decent filler episode. And like everyone says, the slow burn is true, but the ending really, like I said, kickstarted me back again from episode 1. So I thought that the ending was really superb. So I have to give it a 7.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'll give it a 7 as well. It's a weaker episode of Andor overall. When you consider season 1, as a sort of a standard, right? It's a weaker episode. Maybe a filler episode, as Andres and Cyber already mentioned. But still, I thought solid television. All right, guys, that is our short 1 hour long exactly review of Andor season 2, episode 2. We're going to go ahead and do some content plugs and start off with Tall Being and the Room Upstairs podcast.
Yes. Yeah, so we're everywhere you can get podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere. Yeah, we're everywhere. The Room Upstairs podcast. We're on like I said, YouTube, Threads. We're on Instagram, I believe, Facebook. I think we have a TikTok now, if I remember correctly. It's run by the 4 of us that are on here. We take original movies and then their remakes and put them against each other in categories, battle them out. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, a lot more classic movies and seeing how that's changed with modern filmmaking, that's what we try to get into. It's pretty fun.
Okay. And it was good to meet you, brother. I'm glad you were able to come on. And if we can get you on again during Andor season 2 for another episode, we will.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
To let us know what your schedule is.
Oh.
And we'll get you back on. All right. Andres, we'll let Cyber go last. Tell us what you're doing over at Andres, the Pop Culture Guy channel presents.
Yes, hello everyone. This is Andreas, Pop Culture Guy. Thank you for joining us tonight. It was great to see you first time, Telpin. It was fun discussing Andor season 2, episode 2 live review. So just recently posted my favorite action scene from one of the underrated MCU films, Age of Ultron. Of course, yesterday was his 10th anniversary, which is crazy, 10 years old. So check out the Hulkbuster versus Hulk scene. That's really great. Recently, 2 days ago, I did my Joker 85th anniversary. Check that out because his big birthday is this year, but also Catwoman's and Robin's as well this year. So you're going to expect that in the channel in a couple months. Today, right now, I'm just working on my anniversary tribute on Age of Ultron, finishing up. And so going to post it tonight. I did a news short here for Catwoman from Batman Returns. Check it out. Not new live streams yet. That's going to be next week. So I need to talk to Jeff and Cyber about it. I think I'm gonna do a Star Wars review because we're in that kind of Star Wars mood for this month, which is great. So thank you so much for supporting me. Please support me, Cyber, Jeff, and the Rooms Upstairs podcast. Please check us out and our content. It'll be really, really appreciate that you guys check out our content. We work really hard for these.
Thank you, Andres. All right, Cyber.
All right. As always, folks, if you join me here on the panel or if you enjoy me as a moderator, you can check out my solo content. You can find me under Cyberneticshark. You'll find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, Threads, pretty much everywhere you can see. You see my most recent review there is, of course, Snow White, the 2025 live-action remake. If you want a good time and laugh, check out that review. It's super funny. I dissed the hell out of that movie. It was so much fun too. Because I don't even know why they put it out, people. So check out that review. And of course, my most recent trailer reaction, of course, is for the live action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon. If you haven't seen those two, definitely check those out if you haven't. I have a new trailer reaction coming up shortly. Be up tonight or tomorrow morning. So keep your eyes out for that. And of course, on my shorts, side, I think I reviewed a couple films the other day, a few films I watched over the course of the last week or so, and they were pretty fun in different movies. So if you haven't seen any of my recent shorts, definitely check those out too. As always, appreciate you guys. Thank you. Keep on subscribing. I'm one away from 1,300 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And as always, if you want to show support for my YouTube channel, definitely check out my Patreon where you can see bloopers, outtakes, all the kind of cool stuff. So definitely check that out, folks. As you see there, Tian and Tina, there's someone inside your house, and Creep 2 are my three most recent little shorts. So if you haven't seen those, check them out, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching us here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. Keep watching us here. Keep on subscribing, and we appreciate you.
Most definitely. Thank you, Cyber. Thanks, guys. Another wonderful, entertaining episode of a short episode of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. We are a podcast. Rate us and follow us and all that good stuff. We appreciate everybody that joined us tonight during the live stream, and we appreciate people in general who support the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. Again, thanks to the Room Upstairs podcast, Tall B. We appreciate you coming on. And as always, Andres, it's good to do a show with you, man. Cyber, we're looking forward to episode 3. That's Friday, and Monday evening at 9:35 p.m. Eastern, 6:35 p.m. Pacific. We have The Last of Us, episode 4, which could either be it's a total hit or miss, based off of how The Last of Us has been so far this season. It could be a really boring, shitty episode of The Last of Us. Or it could be like really fucking great. We'll have to see. But we hope everybody out there has a great, wonderful evening, day, whatever. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Mom.
What?
I'm going to ask you 3 questions, okay? And your answer every time is going to be addicted.
Okay.
All right. So if an alcoholic drinks too much, they are
addicted.
Right. And if a drug addict does too many drugs, they are
addicted.
Right. And what slapped you in the face last night?
Addicted. You're a goofy